As a premier community in Hampton Roads, James City County strives to maintain a high quality of life for all citizens through sound fiscal management and legislative actions. In an ongoing effort to increase transparency, your Board of Supervisors holds public meetings to garner citizen input before making important decisions. Here is tonight's meeting agenda. Stay tuned. The Board of Supervisors meeting will begin shortly.
Yeah. Okay, so my mom, before that, they had the
coming. We'd like to call to order the James City Service Authority Board of Directors regular. Mr. Powell, do we have any presentations?
No presentations.
Okay. Do we have any public comment cards?
One public comment, Chris Henderson.
Mr. Henderson?
Evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, Chris Henderson, 101 Keystone. It is a rare occasion that we have public, the passing of what I would describe as probably the most dedicated public servant that I have known in 64 plus years of life on this earth. In the late fall of last year, our former director of JCSA, Larry Foster, is so incredible that he is deserving of special recognition by James City County. And I am here tonight to ask that you name their headquarters the Larry Foster JCSA headquarters and put his name on the outside of the building and dedicate a plaque to his tenure and good work on behalf of the citizens of James City County and JCSA. And we need more people like him. That's all I can say. Thank you.
Tonight, consent calendar. Tonight's consent calendar consists of the minutes adoption. May I have a motion to approve this consent calendar?
Move to approve the consent calendar.
Mr. Wolf?
Ms. Wainwright?
Aye.
Mr. Eisenhower?
Aye.
Ms. Larson?
Aye.
Ms. McGlennon?
Aye.
And Ms. Knoll?
Aye. Any public hearings?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Board considerations tonight, selection of Virginia Risk Sharing Association for auto, property, liability, and workers' compensation coverage. Mr. Powell, will you give a staff presentation, please?
Yes, ma'am. We discussed this briefly at the retreat, but JCSA has evaluated options for its insurance coverage and concluded that the Virginia Risk Sharing Association, also known as VRSA and formerly known as the Virginia Municipal League Insurance Program is the best option for JCSA. We believe that the training, the education, and the support that Versa provides is a better fit for a public utility. The attached resolution authorizes non-renewal of insurance coverage with the current provider, VACORP, and authorizes execution of the Versa membership agreement.
Any questions?
Move the adoption of the motion.
Ms. Wainwright?
Aye.
Mr. Eisenhower?
Aye.
Ms. Larson?
Aye.
Ms. McGlinnan?
Aye.
And Ms. Knoll?
Aye. Second is contract awards, the annual engineering services.
An RFP was solicited for annual engineering services organized into 9 major groups. Staff reviewed the proposals and recommends the firms as outlined in Attachment A in your packet. Contract limits are established at $750,000 per project and capped at $3 million total per year. Staff recommends approval of the resolution authorizing the contract award to the firms as outlined in Attachment A.
Questions for staff?
We'll move the resolution.
Ms. Wainwright?
Aye.
Mr. Eisenhower?
Aye.
Ms. Larson?
Aye.
Ms. McGlinnan?
Aye.
Ms. Knoll?
Aye. Board requests and directives. Do we have any comments?
Just thank you for all of the staff presentations at the retreat that we had recently. It was very informative, and the information was very helpful for giving us a broad scope of understanding of everything that JCSA is doing and challenges they're dealing with. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Ms. Wainwright. Appreciate the board's time for that annual event. I think it's productive and hope you do. I hope you do as well. So,
It was very good.
Okay.
It was very good. General manager's update, sir.
I just wanted to mention very briefly, since the hard freeze we had, 6 weeks ago or so, we've had a lot of breaks in the period since then. And I just want to sort of publicly recognize our folks who are out there fixing all of it. We've had about a 75% increase in breaks in this, month or 6-week period compared to the same period last year. So it's been a lot of additional work for our staff over the last, few weeks, and just wanted to recognize them for their efforts. So.
Absolutely. Thank them very much for that. I know the conditions sometimes are certainly not the best, so.
And we appreciate that. We appreciate all the work they do all the time. So, motion to adjourn till 5 p.m. on April 14th for a regular meeting.
So move.
Ms. Wainwright?
Aye.
Mr. Eisenhower?
Aye.
Ms. Larson?
Aye.
Ms. McGlinnan?
Aye.
And Ms. Knoll?
Aye.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Call this meeting of the James City County Board of Supervisors to order for the purpose of our regular meeting. Mr. Stevens, would you call the roll, please?
Sure. Ms. Wainwright?
Here.
Ms. Wainwright represents the Paladin District. Ms. Knoll?
Present.
Ms. Knoll represents the Stonehouse District. Mr. Eisenhower?
Here.
Mr. Eisenhower represents the Jamestown District. Ms. Larson?
Here.
Ms. Larson represents the Berkeley District and is Vice Chair of the Board. Mr. McGlinnan?
Here.
Mr. McGlinnan represents the Roberts District and is Chair of the Board. Sitting to my far left is Adam Kinsman, County Attorney. I'm Scott Stevens, County Administrator, and it's my pleasure to be Clerk to the Board. All present.
Thank you, sir. We begin our meetings with a moment of silence and a Pledge of Allegiance led by a young person from our community. Today, that young person is a resident of the Jamestown District, so I'll ask Mr. Eisenhower to introduce him.
Thank you, sir. This evening, we will have Stevie Boone, who will be leading us with the pledge. He goes to Covenant Christian School, and it's kindergarten. He lives in, I believe it's over in the Windsor Forest area. Is that correct? Or
Oaks.
oh, White Oaks. Okay, sorry. I knew I recognized the name. I wasn't sure, but it was in one of my communities there. And he's here tonight with his father, Cameron, and he has siblings Neil and Vivian. And he likes watching the Washington Commanders. He's in the Daybreak Church Kids Club, and he likes avid fan of veterans, Chickahominy Riverfront and Freedom Parks, as well as the Jamestown Interpretive Trail. And so after a few moments of silence, we'll have Stevie lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic on which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right.
Yeah, that's all good.
We have public comment. This is an opportunity for citizens to speak on any item that is not subject to a public hearing this evening. And I have a number of cards. 15, okay. So settle back and enjoy. And I'm going to begin with, where's the? Donnie McDaniel, I'm sorry. Donnie McDaniel.
Excuse me.
And when you come forward, if you would just identify yourself by your name and your address.
Yes, hi there, Donnie McDaniel, Executive Director for Community of Faith Mission, 1781 Jamestown Road. Thank you so much for seeing me or letting me speak tonight. Normally, I give you a quick update on what's going on, but I want to begin with this. I seem to have ruffled some feathers with my previous presentations, and I have been accused of spreading falsehoods. So I just want to clarify a few things. To be clear, when I shared that there's no assistance to those from 18 to 59, I am referring to situations when COFM shelter is in James City County and is full, and I am looking for assistance with overcapacity. There have been less than 10 times in a season that COFM would turn to James City County in the past, and actually it's usually less than 5. So when we're talking about hotel stays, when we use the budget hotels, we're talking well less than $1,000 for assistance. This was not a problem in the past, but has been met with resistance during the past couple of years. I was also informed that the modest amount given from James City County funding requests each year could be used by COFM for hotel stays during overcapacity. During past James City County funding request applications, COFM has requested funding for specific program expenses, not including overcapacity, and COFM is obligated to allocate the funds for the specific request. It's a fiduciary responsibility. Because of some of the feedback that I have received from county representatives, the JCC funding request may be considered core funding instead of program funding, meaning that expensing the funds received are not restricted to a specific expense, but can be spent within the bounds of the program. Additionally, COFM is responsible for paying for inspections for each shelter site, resulting in over $1,200. These fees are required of COFM in order to have a shelter program at participating churches. So that was the falsehood, so I just wanted to clear that for everyone. So with that little bit amount of money, that wasn't what I was requesting, but I would again like to remind the board and other JCC agencies that since 2012, Community of Faith Mission Incorporated has been an ally and safety net to the historic triangle in reference to providing shelter for those experiencing homelessness during the coldest months of the year. COFM has always tried to work with each county and city. And you can imagine working in a historic triangle, because you guys have the meetings, it can be challenging. But we have been able to save the municipalities hundreds of thousands of dollars in housing over the past 14 years. Just the in-kind value of sheltering, this doesn't include food, it doesn't include the assistance and things like that, it would have equaled over $1,375,920 for 126 nights of safe, warm shelter each year, relieving social services, emergency rooms, police departments, and correctional facilities. If we take 40% of that amount, because that's usually what counts for JCC residents, COFM has saved James City County over $550,000 that the county would have had to have used for hotel stays or diversion. Again, the funding request that is currently submitted is to help offset the costs for the required inspections as well as costs associated with the Heads Up program. This program we started this year, and it offers individuals seeking assistance with diversion or housing. Diversion meaning that getting back to a family support that may not be in this area. Additionally, budgeting, self-care, nutrition, and life skills training are offered, allowing these individuals to be self-sufficient and productive members of society. So that's my justification for what I do. So now I want to share with you, there have been a total of 117 unique individuals that have stayed at the shelter. That was yesterday afternoon. We actually got 2 more last night. So there's actually 119. The youngest has been 2 months old. The oldest has been 79 years old. There were 3 that were under the age of 18, 4 that are between the age of 18 and 24. 87 have been between the ages of 26 and 59, and 23 have been 60 and over. So as you can see, when we're at overcapacity, when somebody says, I can't help you when they're 18 to 59, that's the crux of our people. So that's why I bring that up. Out of the people that have been here, I wanted to share with you that 40% of those are from James City County. 15% are from the city of Williamsburg, and 6% are from York County. Again, as you consider the many items that go into the budget, I hope that you consider COFM and all that it does for the county. Thank you so much. Wow, 5 seconds. That was good.
Thank you, Mr. Day.
Good job.
Vernon Getty?
Members of the board, my name is Vernon Getty, and you probably recognize my name from the last 40 years of my father boring you with rezoning cases he successfully got approved. To keep with the tradition of a Vernon Getty getting things approved by the Board of Supervisors, we are here to discuss WJCC receiving roughly $225,000 in funds from the county to bring lacrosse from a club level sport to a VHSL, Virginia High School League sport. This additional support, such as transportation and management of the league, makes lacrosse a more accessible sport to all high school students in the WJCC district. After painstakingly reviewing the fiscal year 2026 JCC budget, the general fund is allocated $263.7 million. For context, the $225,000 request is 0.0008% of the total budget, and we are hopeful that you will consider those funds to be used for lacrosse. My smoking hot wife and I have twins who are freshmen at Jamestown High School, and both who play on their respective boys and girls teams. Both play sports in other seasons of the year, which are VHSL, and there is a noticeable difference for working parents like ourselves who must meet the demands of a club sport without the resources of a VHSL sport provides. I think every parent in this room, former and current students would agree that transportation alone is an extremely helpful resource to the overall experience of student sports. Having students drive themselves to some of these locations where games are played is somewhat daunting for new drivers to be going to places like Virginia Beach during rush hour through the endless construction of the tunnel and back, only giving parents like myself more gray hairs. With that being said, we believe everyone in this room understands the overall benefit this new designation would give lacrosse as a sport and accessibility to all families. As a small business owner of Old City Barbecue and the fleet of food trucks I understand the importance of budgets and proper allocation of funds. As a resident of James City County and a stakeholder of the community, there's no better example of the county's goal of growing and enhancing the community by allocating that 0.0008% of the general fund to making lacrosse a school sport. It's one of the fastest growing youth sports in the country, and making a decision like this for our local school districts will bring more access to these kids and allow them to be able to learn and excel in a sport already receiving a lot of support from the families and parents at the club level. The greater Williamsburg area has done an exceptional job in the past 10 to 15 years growing beyond the old mold of tourist town with Colonial, Williamsburg, and Busch Gardens and has invested a lot of money into sports tourism. This approach has continued to grow revenues for JCC, City of Williamsburg, and York County through increased hotel stays with lodging and occupancy tax, increased meals tax, which for the City of Williamsburg, where my restaurant is located, is a story for another time, and the admissions tax collected from people staying in town for the weekend. The new sports complex, from my understanding, on Bypass Road has a budget of roughly 55 to 60 million. And, that should further the initiative when it opens up and, shows that making a significant financial investment will provide to have a positive impact on the community. The additional investment of $225,000 is pennies in the grand scheme of things and will directly benefit members of the community who pay for this budget annually. Investing in sports tourism and investing locally to have great sports teams are separate issues, but shows that the community understands the importance of investing in both. And that's why this is a no-brainer decision. I started playing lacrosse about 30 years ago for the Williamsburg Warrior, where my father, who played lacrosse at UNC Chapel Hill, and a couple other coaches, started to bring lacrosse to the area for the first time. As I grew up and I continued to play, my father helped the first lacrosse team at Walsingham Academy, where I attended high school. I also played on the local club team, where it consisted of myself and other players, and one other player from Walsingham, and the rest of the team was a collaboration of Jamestown and Lafayette players. That was a community team, not big, but a start. I acknowledge that this is a WJCC issue, but the amount of kids playing both boys and girls lacrosse is 50-fold to what it was 20 years ago, and that was all through club. This is 100 to 0 issue as it relates to support from the community. As I stated, I understand the importance of managing budgets for successful outcomes, whether it be managing municipalities, businesses, or personal finances. But the ask to make this a reality for so many student athletes is a simple one.
Thank you, Mr. Getty.
Thank you.
And we don't typically talk back to public comment, but in all the times your father has stood there, he has never said smoking hot wife, so.
There's a first time for everything.
Yeah. You've introduced a new part of the Getty family.
Stephen Staples?
Keep it clean, Steve.
Thank you. I will. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Madam Vice Chair, members of the board. Thank you for giving me a few minutes to speak to you this evening, but more importantly, thank you for your dedication and service to making James City County a high-quality place to live. I know it takes time and effort, and I appreciate that. This evening, I want to share a recent incident that I think impacts that quality of life here in our community. The incident involves a local business operator, a man who provided work for me, my neighbors, my neighborhood, friends, my church, people around James City County in the area. He was a tax-paying, honest business owner who had been given status to work through to obtain citizenship in the United States. Part of that process required him to report to the immigration office in Norfolk at regular intervals, which he did faithfully. Several weeks ago, when he made that required visit, he was taken into custody by ICE, was sent to a detention center up near King's Dominion, and within a week and a half, deported, not to his home country, but to Mexico. He had no time for a hearing or to even explain the status he was giving and the process he was going through. Now, to be clear, he was not a dangerous criminal. When I hear about ICE deporting murderers, rapists, drug dealers, pedophiles, I understand and agree that makes the community safer. But in this case, they detained and deported a business operator, a man who was already on the path to full citizenship, a husband and a father. He left a wife here and children that attend Williamsburg, James City County schools. Frankly, that doesn't make me feel safer at all. In fact, it makes me feel a bit uneasy. I came today because often when we hear these stories, we always say, oh, that happens there. Not here. But in truth, it happened here. I want to assure you that I understand you don't set United States immigration policy or laws. I'm not asking you to change that. I understand you don't direct enforcement of those laws or how they're done. I'm not asking you to change that. That's not my reason. But what I do know is that your leadership and decisions do impact the quality of life here. And as we always hear, all politics is local. So I'm asking you to consider two actions at least that are within the scope of your authority. Number one, when you have the opportunity, please let state and federal officials that do control policymaking and enforcement know how these actions are impacting the quality of life here. Share with them the stories of residents in James City County, taxpayers in James City County, voters in James City County, and remind them how difficult their decisions make your work. I've personally called Congressman Whitman's office multiple times, both in Washington and in Yorktown, to let him know of this situation and my dissatisfaction with the results. I would hope you would share your thoughts on that matter as well. Collectively, your voices are more powerful than ours alone. Secondly, when decisions come before you that may require engagement or collaboration in immigration enforcement, whether they're zoning, whether they're asking local agencies to collaborate, or whether they're asking you to direct James City County officials to act, I would ask you to be certain that the actions you're approving actually will make our communities safer. They will give us a higher quality of life. Please make sure the things you do control don't lessen our community by removing hardworking, honest people. There are folks in Virginia organizing who joined me this evening, and they're not all going to speak. I understand your time, but I'd ask them just to be acknowledged and stand for a second so you know there are many people in the community that feel this way. Thank you. A few weeks ago, ICE left a James City County business abandoned, workers without work, a wife without a husband, and children without a father. It's not happening there, it's happening here. Please help when you can. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Dr. Staples. Charles Gates.
Chair, Vice Chair, Board, first and foremost, let me say this. My smoking hot wife is not with me. But I want to share this with you. I, too, am representing Virginia organizing. As my colleague has just stated, we have dozens and dozens of examples of our immigrant community who have been ostracized and harassed. And there is a fear amongst our community. Perhaps you have nothing to do with it. Perhaps no one here has anything to do with it. But there is a fear in our immigrant community where many of them are not even leaving their homes. They're reaching out to neighbors to go grocery shopping for them because they're scared to walk out the door in fear they may be handcuffed, taken to some gulag somewhere, and sent off to El Salvador, Mexico, or somewhere else around the world. What we're hoping that you will take into consideration as we come closer to the closing of our budget for the year is to keep our immigrant community, our marginalized citizens, as well as our low-income residents here in JCC in mind. Because the immigrant community is so fearful to leave. A year ago, 2 years ago, there were 2 working parents in the house. Now, there's barely one, because one is so fearful to leave the home that they refuse to go to work. Less income coming into the house. We know in this area, we are hospitality and retail based. This area is difficult for many of us to afford to live here with 2 incomes. We complain, we'll hold our breath till we're blue in the face, but eventually we'll be okay. But our marginalized citizens, especially those immigrants in the low-income families, they're not being okay. Many of them are packing up, moving to Newport News, moving to Hampton, moving to New Kent, moving to areas around us because they simply cannot afford to be here. I want to piggyback off my colleague's statements before. Whatever you can do, whatever is within your power to stop that from coming here, and we know it's already here, but whenever they're asking for cooperation from you, please have the fortitude to tell them, no, not here. Before I close, I want to share these 50 pledge cards with you, where it says, oh, what did I say, 50? Add 450 to that. 500 pledge cards where immigrants are acknowledging that immigrants are a valued and integral part of our community. I'd like to hand these to someone if I could. Okay. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gates. George Buskey. George Buskey.
Evening.
Evening.
I don't usually speak before a bunch of people, but this is a little hard here, but we'll get through it. But my name is George Buskey. First of all, good evening to the James City County Board of Supervisors. My name is George Buskey. I live at 147 Whiting Avenue in Williamsburg, Virginia. I've been here living in this community for about 35, 40 years. I know this community well, and I know when there's something that is not right in my spirit. As an African-American man, I understand the pain of being singled out and made to be feel that you don't belong. Many of us know that history. Because of that history, we also recognize similar injustices begin to affect others. Across our communities, we have seen actions of the United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement entering into neighborhoods and detaining immigrants. Families are frightened, neighbors are shaken, and fear spreads throughout the community, where people are simply trying to work and live and raise their children with dignity. That is not the kind of community we want here. So tonight, I want to place a few questions on public record for this board. What will this body do proactively to support the immigrant community that lives and works here? What protections currently exist at the local level to ensure immigrant families are treated with dignity and fairness in James City County? Residents also deserve transparency on other important issues. In James City County or York County, are they collaborating with ICE enforcement? Is any of our James City County police officers participating in Section 287G? If so, what does that collaboration look like? And how does it affect the residents who live, work, and raise their families in this community? I respectfully ask these questions to be added publicly so residents can clearly understand the policies that affect their neighbors and their families. At the same time, many residents are deeply concerned about proposed federal budget cuts that could affect food assistance, Medicaid, public education, and funding for local nonprofits that serve our vulnerable people and the less fortunate. If those cuts were moved, how will this county, what is the plan to ensure working families and the vulnerable residents are not left behind? As a resident of this county and a member of Virginia Organizing, Williamsburg, James City County chapter, I was going to ask all the members to stand, but we already done that. But I'm going to close with this. History teaches us something very clearly. God always stands on the side of the oppressed, the poor, and the stranger seeking refuge. So tonight I ask this body a simple question. Will we be a community that runs away from our neighbors in fear, or a community that stands up for justice, dignity, and humanity? Because of this truth, it is when we defend the immigrant the working family, and the vulnerable among us, we are not weakening our community. We are strengthening it. And as justice rises, everybody rises. In the words of Dr. Martin Luther King, injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. And the words of Reverend Jesse Jackson, he said, I am somebody. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Preston. Susan Franz.
Hello, I'm Susan Franz, 103 Cardinal Court. I'm aware that you all are still working on the new budget, and I'm hoping that you'll do everything in your power to find alternate means to fund the projects you've started. While I know this is laughable, it actually would be great if you could find a way to reduce our taxes. Fund what is necessary and cut what is not necessary. I'm aware that you're considering a meals tax increase. Currently, we pay 4% for the county and an additional 7% to the state, for a combined total of 11% on meals and beverages. At some point, that becomes unsustainable. That increase would hurt both the local population, business owners, and tourists. Find another way. This county needs to find a way to live within our means instead of shifting taxes to other sources. I'm also concerned about the Cardinal Ridge development. I urge you to take your time and listen to all concerned voices before moving ahead with any approvals for this project. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Franz. Chris Henderson. Chris Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I didn't hear you when you first called me. Chris Henderson, 101 Keystone. I want to begin by addressing comments from the organizing groups and about what James City County should stand for. We should stand for American citizens. And I want our community to support American citizens. And if you come here legally and you're following the process, you will become an American citizen. But if you want to circumvent the system, then you're not entitled to the rights and privileges of an American citizen. So I want this county to cooperate with ICE. And I would like to see us support American citizens over those that are guests here within our community. Because as we approach this budgeting season, we are going to have to make some tough decisions. And I received my assessment notice the other day, and it was 23% 2 years ago, and it's another 16% this time. So I'm at 39% increase in my assessed value in 3 years. Not sustainable. I have spoken to lots of folks in the community about decisions that they're going to have to make with regard to how they can allocate their limited resources, many being on fixed incomes and lower incomes. And so I think we're going to have to look very seriously about what our needs and what our wants are and adapt accordingly. I do think it's wonderful that we have all these young people here. I mean, that's fantastic. In all the years that I've been here, I don't think I've seen a room full of young people like that. So, I mean, that speaks incredibly well of their dedication to seeing their cause advanced and to see funding for lacrosse in the community. And I would encourage you to do that and to support our young people. I asked them coming in if they took a bus, and they said no, but anyway, they all drove here independently, so we'll need a bigger parking lot if they want to come to the next meetings. I want to reiterate my call to begin our board meetings at a later time. I think 5 p.m. Is not a convenient time. As a small business owner, I have to knock off at 3:30, go home, grab a shower, and sit through 20 minutes of traffic to get here. So it's problematic. 6 p.m. would be a reasonable compromise, and I would encourage the board to adapt accordingly. I'd also like the board to begin to include an invocation as a part of our meetings rather than a moment of silence. I think it would bring additional clarity and solemnity to the moment and would provide an opportunity for our local preachers and clergymen to present themselves in a setting where they're not normally seen, and perhaps they could encourage some people to visit their respective churches or synagogues or mosques. I want to tell the board that I recently acquired a property in Norwich. I hadn't spent a lot of time up there, but we got some big problems in Norwich. The land use designations up there are problematic. We've got driveways getting onto Richmond Road every 25, 30 feet. We got a lot of challenges, and I would encourage the board to ask planning staff to do another study of Norwich and see if we can fix some of those. And as an owner of property there, I'm happy to participate in that and offer some advice. I also want to encourage my fellow citizens with regard to early voting to vote no on the amendment. And I would point out that our governor was against gerrymandering before she was for it. And so we all see it for what it is, and it's a partisan tact to try to redistrict Virginia in the middle of the cycle to gain some advantage in Washington. And I hope voters are smart enough to see through that and to vote no. I do have a question about the 250th celebration. We're coming up. I thought we were having an event in April. Haven't seen a lot about it. Excited to see it. Also concerned about the refund to Busch Gardens and the Old Town Medical Center. Let them stay for free because they provide incredible service to our community. Thank you.
Charles Colgrove.
Members, good evening. Chuck Colgrove, 110 Blackheath. I'm here for a couple of reasons. First of all, I'm representing a local nonprofit called Of the People. We have been running a petition regarding the tax cards that went out a week or so ago. So I sent this to you today. I don't know if you've had time to look at it, so I will just cover it very briefly. The petition reads as such: whereas the Code of Virginia, Section 58.1-3321, limits increases in real property tax revenues attributable to reassessment to no more than 101% of the previous year's value, unless the governing body holds a properly noticed public hearing at a time that enables maximum citizen participation prior to adoption of the budget. And whereas the James City County Board of Supervisors has routinely scheduled meetings at impractical times, effectively limiting meaningful public participation and input from working citizens and families. And whereas a county-wide reassessment was completed in January 26, resulting in significant increases in assessed property values for many residents, and whereas increases in tax revenue beyond the statutory 101% threshold place an undue financial burden on homeowners, renters, seniors, and families on fixed or limited incomes. Therefore, be it resolved that the undersigned citizens of James City County hereby state their opposition to any property tax increase exceeding 101% of the prior year's value as a result of the January 26th reassessment, unless and until a fully accessible, transparent, and well-publicized public hearing is held in accordance with Virginia law. So we respectfully request that the Board of Supervisors, one, adhere strictly to the 101% limitation. Two, schedule the public hearing during the April regular meeting, which is the normal meeting you have for public input on this, with a revised start of 6 p.m. And number three, prioritize fiscal responsibility and taxpayer affordability when setting the county budget and tax rate. Okay, and so that's the end of the petition. As of about noon, because I had to package it up sometime to send it to you, we had 221 signatures. We will continue to collect signatures on paper and online until the next meeting, and I'll bring it back to you in April. We'll present it again with the completed signatures. The second part here is I got my tax notice card, 15.6 increase this year, almost 21% 2 years ago. And I'm sure there were a lot of elevated blood pressures all over the county about a week ago when everybody got theirs as well. Maybe you can explain in comments at some point this evening why that card uses a tax rate of 83 cents. Because when the tax rate, as the law says, the tax rate automatically adjusts to provide no more than 101% of last year's taxes. That would be 75 cents. But the card you sent out used 83 cents, and 83 cents has not been approved for FY '27 and beyond. So anyway, that's all I have. Thanks for your time, and I will leave a hard copy of this with, right there, okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Colgrove. Sophia Healy, is that right?
Hi. Okay. Lacrosse is important to me because it's been one of the most consistent.
Would you mind
Oh,
just
shoot. Oh my gosh.
state your name and address for the public
Sophia
record?
Healy, 2409 Pinnacle Arch. Lacrosse is important to me because it has been one of the most consistent things in my life. I've lived in 5 different states, and every time I moved, a lot of things have changed. My school, my friends, and my environment. But lacrosse was always something familiar that helped me adjust and feel connected. Out of all the sports I've tried, lacrosse is the only one I have stuck with for more than a year. It taught me how to play as a team and to push myself to improve no matter where I live. The game gave me a sense of belonging and something to look forward to. That is why I believe lacrosse is important and it should be recognized as a VHSL sport. It gives students an opportunity to build skills, stay active, and be part of a team. For me personally, it has been more than a sport. It has been a constant in my life. Thank you.
Laney Gray.
My name is Lainey Gray, 3301 Morning Miss Lane. I'm a student at War Hill High School, and I'm here to speak on the topic of lacrosse becoming a VHSL sport in schools. Lacrosse already has a strong and growing presence in our community today. Many students across our middle and high schools play through local clubs like Warriors and Coastal Crush Lacrosse, as well as other programs. These athletes train year-round, compete at high levels, and are ready for the chance to represent their high schools. The interest isn't something we need to build because it already exists. Our youth programs are full of younger players who are excited about lacrosse and excited to continue the sport once they reach high school. Right now, they don't have an official school team to grow into though. By approving lacrosse as a school sport, you create a path for youth leagues to high school athletics, ensuring strong participation immediately and for years to come. Thank you for your time and for considering this opportunity for WJCC students.
Thank you. James Cast.
James Casty, 4661 Messina Drive. Good afternoon, board members. My name is James, and I'm a junior at War Hill. And we've been pushing for lacrosse in our schools for a while now, and everyone here is grateful for the progress you've made for us. I just like to say, please don't forget about lacrosse, and that following through with VHSL will strengthen your students' teamwork and work ethic. Thank you.
Samantha Delosier.
Samantha Delosier, 3220 Stony Creek Drive. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. My name is Samantha, and I'm a junior playing lacrosse for Jamestown High School. I recently committed to play lacrosse at Flagler College when I graduate. I want other students, especially girls in our community, to have the same opportunity. My road to college did not come easily. Because our high school lacrosse program is not a VHSL sport, college coaches are not coming to see us play. To be seen, I had to join a travel team that is over an hour away. That meant long drives, extra costs, and a significant time commitment from my family. I've seen so many great players at our three high schools that are good enough to play at the college level, but are not being seen because they might not have the time or money to join a travel team. If lacrosse becomes a VHSL sport, it would create equal access to opportunities, but most importantly, it would tell students that their commitment and hard work matters. There are over 10 other high school sports that are VHSL sanctioned in our community. Those students get to go to awards nights and earn the opportunity to play in state championship games. We should have these opportunities too. I'm standing here today because lacrosse gave me a path forward. I hope that by supporting high school lacrosse as a varsity sport, you can help create that same path for many students who come after me. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Andrew Buckley.
Andrew Buckley, 103 Eagle. Good evening. I'm Andrew Buckley, and I'm a senior at Lafayette High School, and I'm here to talk about how lacrosse builds leadership and character in students. When I first started playing lacrosse in 8th grade for the high school, I was honestly like a pretty quiet kid, and I never imagined standing in front of a group like this and speaking to adults like asking for support like I am now. As an 8th grader on a high school team, the older players pushed me out of my comfort zone and helped me with my confidence. Because of lacrosse, I've learned how to communicate, work with others or teammates, and take on leadership roles. I've been fortunate to serve as a captain twice, and those experiences have taught me teamwork, hard work, and what it truly means to belong to a team. The lessons have carried on to other parts of my life, including accomplishments in football and in the classroom. Lacrosse has shaped me into a leader and a teammate that I've become today. As a senior, I know I won't be able to experience VHSL lacrosse. However, I'd love for my teammates and future athletes to have that opportunity. The lessons and character development lacrosse has provided me has shaped my life, and I know it will translate into my future. Thank you for the time and considering the opportunity for WJCC students.
Jason Madzuma.
Good afternoon. My name is Jason Madzuma, 105 Royal St. George's, and I'm a local parent in the WJCC lacrosse community, as well as the president of the Lafayette Rams Lacrosse Club. First, I want to thank the students that have been coming up brave enough to speak in front of this group. They represent exactly why this opportunity is so important to us, as well as all of them. It's a big crowd, like he said, the most young people he's seen in a long time. All their brothers and sisters in lacrosse supporting this over the past 2 years. They've been part of a really cool live civics project on representative local government. So hopefully some of these guys will take this lesson and listen to all of this and take something else away from it too. As you're aware right now, in James City County, the only way most students can play lacrosse in high school is through our club programs. And those programs require registration fees, equipment purchases, and travel costs. A local season alone, one local season, will cost $235 just to register. And families have to purchase their own equipment. A full set of new equipment for boys can cost anywhere from $750 to $1,000. For more serious lacrosse athletes, like Sam, there are travel clubs in Richmond, Norfolk, Virginia Beach, and I'm sure many of you on the board have had or have kids or grandkids in travel programs, so you know what that costs. And that's all good, but it creates a situation where the opportunity to play lacrosse becomes pay to play, shutting out a large segment of our youth population. So some students can play, while many others who want to play simply never get that opportunity. Year after year, I've had to turn away students who wanted to play because we simply didn't have the equipment or financial assistance to support them. We have incredible high school football programs locally. War Hill competes for the Bay Rivers title year after year, and Lafayette regularly makes deep playoff runs and competes for state championships in what seems like annually. These programs are a source of pride for our entire community. But imagine if those programs worked the way lacrosse currently does. Imagine if local high school football players had to pay hundreds of dollars for their own helmet. Another couple $100 for their shoulder pads. And even have to buy their own jerseys. And the guy with the smoking hot wife mentioned, not to mention they'd have to take themselves to every game all across the state by themselves, driving all over the place, no bus. Participation would look very different if that were the case in football. And success, school engagement, and community pride would look very different as well. A school-based lacrosse program removes those barriers. It opens the doors for many student athletes from neighborhoods all across our entire community, including those students who may not currently have access to costly club programs, so they can participate, represent their school, and experience the same teamwork, discipline, and leadership that Andrew mentioned. The school board and Dr. Keever have included lacrosse in their additional funding request, along with many other worthy initiatives. I think the actual lacrosse price tag came in around $225,000. And we respectfully ask that you support that request for the additional funding so this opportunity can become a reality for all WJCC students. And I recognize that's a big ask. And I'll be the first to admit I don't fully understand all the complexities of budgeting a county or a school system. I'm just a lacrosse guy and a dad and do some stuff with equipment. But I respectfully ask that you work hard to find these funds for something that directly impacts our community's children in a positive way and gives back to them directly. As you can probably tell by the numbers of families and students here tonight, this opportunity means a great deal to our community. If those here tonight in support of bringing lacrosse to WJCC would please stand so the board can just recognize you. Some are already standing. It's a lot. Thanks, young people.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, board.
Thank you. William Kubler. Jillian, I'm sorry. I apologize.
Jillian Kubler, 4055 Longview Landing. Good evening, everyone. I've played lacrosse since I was 5 years old. I'm now a freshman at Jamestown High School. Over my 10 years of playing lacrosse for Warriors and now Jamestown Club, I've seen our sport grow so much, from just a small team, around 10 girls, to having 3 full high school teams. I'm currently playing for Jamestown High School Club with 33 girls on our team. Every year, lacrosse grows so much more. Lacrosse has always given me great joy with all the people, support, community, and love that is shared through our sport. This isn't just a huge step for our community, but is an even bigger step for us young women athletes. And it just breaks my heart to see the sport I love not give back to the young men and women who love it. Thank you for your time to consider lacrosse becoming a VHSL sport.
Thank you. Tyler Dick. Okay. Thank you. Arman Sakrani. You're okay. Thank you. All right, gotcha. Thank you very much. And Crystal Bright. Are you opting out too? Crystal Bright from Dominion Power. Okay. Well, thank you very much. That exhausts the speaker cards for the public comment section. Let me just take a second to thank the folks who came here to talk about the lacrosse program, especially the students who are here. I want to congratulate you on your very polite presentation, your well-informed presentation, and your conciseness. If you all took the full 5 minutes, we would be here for another couple hours. But thanks very much. I think you got your point across. Thank you. Okay, we'll move on now to the consent calendar. We have no items on tonight's consent calendar, and so we will begin with the public hearing. If you would like to stay and listen to our public hearings, you're welcome to do so, but otherwise we'll hold on for just a minute.
Otherwise, go get dinner. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How are you, Dr. Cavazos? Nice to see you. Well, it's your decision. You guys are the ones on the hot seat. Oh, I'll call recess? Okay. Let me just call a 3-minute recess. Come back into order. And we'll move on to public hearings. First of all, let me recognize that Mr. Steve Rogers is here this evening representing the Planning Commission. There he is. And that our first public hearing tonight is short-term rental compliance review for certain special use permits. And Christy Parrish is here.
Thank you,
to
Mr.
handle that
Chair, members
presentation.
of the board.
Go
On
ahead.
on February 10th, 2026, staff presented a compliance review summary in accordance with 6 previous approved special use permits for short-term rentals. Following the staff presentation and public comment period, staff recommended that the board continue the public hearing to allow staff to draft new resolutions for each special use permit for the board's consideration. However, upon consultation with the county attorney after the meeting, it was discovered that the board cannot amend the existing conditions of the special use permit without going through the same process as it did when they were originally approved. Upon closing the public hearing this evening, the board may wish to consider the following actions. 1, initiate proceedings to revoke one or more special use permits. Initiate proceedings to amend initiate proceeding to amend one or more special use permits. Direct staff to provide another compliance review at its particular time for one or more special use permits. Take no action and allow one or more special use permits run with the land. Based upon the board's comments at the February 10th meeting, staff recommended the following in the staff report. Take no action to allow the short-term rental use to continue subject to their conditions described in the respective SUPs for the following addresses: 4711 Rochambeau Drive, 2878 Monticello Avenue, 2886 Lake Powell Road, 2884 Chickahominy Road, 2884 Lake Powell Road. And to direct staff to provide another compliance review check for SUP 230009 2868 Lake Powell Road at the March 2027 board meeting. This recommendation was due to the outstanding tax filings with the Commissioner of Revenue. As of today, it is my understanding that all 6 properties are now in compliance with all the required tax filings with the Commissioner of Revenue's office. In light of this information, staff recommends now that the board take no action on all properties and allow the short-term rental use to continue subject to the conditions described in their respective special use permits. It is important to mention that should the board wish to take no action and allow the use to run with the land, as described in each special use permit, the board would still retain the ability to initiate the revocation of any special use permit for any repeated violations or a change in conditions affecting the public health, safety, and welfare through Section 2412 of the zoning ordinance. This concludes my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions for Ms. Parrish?
Yeah, I appreciate the quick rundown, because with that letter we got, it looks like everybody's in compliance.
Sir.
I think that the benefit for me in this is that it highlighted that we've had some issues where we thought, there may be an extenuating circumstances or whatever, but we've had some issues where, had we not done this, some of these could have gone on and on and on without any ability to take a look at it and rectify it. I'm of a mind that I would like to see us have staff come back to us with a what I would call a little compliance review of pretty much the SUPs for these types of things across the board in about a year or a year and a half, something like that, with merely an update of, do we have any more of these, or do we have any that are not in compliance? Do we have any that are not being advertised properly? Do we have any that, because I think that's really important. The whole purpose of the SUP process here was to set up the process where, if these are being used and they are generating the tax revenue for the county, that it's being done properly, and we know that it's being done properly. So I don't have any problem with letting it run, but I think in talking to county attorney, I believe we have the ability to ask for that kind of an update as a generic across the board type of request, and that would be something I would like to see. I'll defer to my colleagues as to whether they think that's something we ought to be looking at in a on a recurring basis every year or two.
I would like to comment that a little birdie did tell me that you were interested in having that compliance, so I went ahead and proactively went through all the special use permits. I will have to say that there are several that are out of compliance with the special use permit conditions. Most of them are for just advertising more rooms or allowing more occupants that is permitted in the special use permit itself. Letters will be issued probably within a couple weeks, because there are quite a few of them, but we will make sure that those letters go out and we follow up. But happy to report back within a year, year and a half, whatever the board should see fit, and give you an update on that report.
So Terry, you would do it every couple of years? You would go out for compliance every couple of years, not every year?
That would be at the direction to the board, so if
whatever.
Yeah, well, I think that's a good idea. just on a regular
I
basis.
just think it needs to
On
be.
a regular basis,
Yeah, on a
yeah.
regular basis. I just think it needs to be done because it's something we've never done before, and this has highlighted that there are some problems.
Yeah, we need to stay
And
on
we want
top of
to
it.
keep
Yeah.
on top of it.
Okay, yeah.
And I am working with the Commissioner of Revenue's office to make sure that they're aware that if there's still listings out there that, and if their filings are not quite right, we'll work together to make sure that the notification goes out.
A quick question.
Sure.
How many would we be looking at to review?
When I did the initial, there's more than 19, but I had 19 listings that are still active in advertising on Airbnb or VRBO. So, I would probably review 25 of them. And I will also, with the report, let you know who's advertising, who's not advertising. So we can kind of get a feel of whether or not they could have moved or something along those lines. So.
And you said quite a few. Do you have like a
20, 25?
How many were out of compliance? Out of
14 out of 19.
And was the compliance mostly in relation to
Okay.
advertising more rooms than we permit?
A lot of them were, and then some that were in compliance did not have the appropriate filings yet. However, we're just kicking over to 2026, so I'll be working with the Commissioner of Revenue's office just to make sure that they've had previous filings, maybe just not have come into compliance since the due date.
Are we still doing the sweep where we're checking for unlicensed or those that have not?
I try to check that software about once a month, and we usually reach out to those that are not aware that they have to get a special use permit. So yes.
Okay, thank
Are
you.
you finding many of them?
No, I would say probably 2 or 3, maybe every 6 months or so. Some has been repetitive, some haven't, but more or less once we've talked, they've realized that they didn't know that they needed the special use permit. Matter of fact, I think 2 are in the pipeline to come through the process now.
I think that, I just want to make sure that we keep on top of that. Sometimes, not knowing that they're out there, and I get, it sounds like they're not nearly as many as we maybe have anticipated or had in the past. Do you think it's becoming a little more of a passing fad?
Well, there are certain areas that you could do this by right. So obviously I don't check on those because they're by right and they would not have those conditions that we would have now. But I kind of have seen them kind of go on a downward trend, so.
All right.
Yes, 2 comments. One, I thank those that have been running in compliance and appreciate that they are paying their taxes. And I find it a little hard to believe that people don't know that they are, if they're running an Airbnb, if they're allowing guests in their home overnight, that they're not paying the $2 transient tax that they're supposed to. They're doing something that their neighbors probably don't realize that they're doing. And there's been so much talk. I realize not everybody pays attention to everything that happens from this dais, but they're not allowed in the city of Williamsburg. I don't know that York does a lot. We've done a lot. So, my sympathy card is only going but so deep. So I am grateful for those that have done it correctly. I'm grateful for all the work that you've done because I know personally I have reached out to you when I have heard from people who have said, I think there's an Airbnb next to my house. And yes, there are some that are probably by right. However, a lot of places that they're allowed by right in here, they're not allowed by their homeowners associations, which we don't get in the middle of. But it's important for people to understand that you also need to check, not just something's allowed by right, but if it's allowed where you live. So anyway, thank you.
No, I appreciate that. I think that some of the gray area is that the Airbnb sites, this is my understanding, sends the taxes to the Commissioner of Revenue's office. But in additional, the person who's running the Airbnb are supposed to submit those coupons so they can kind of match it up. That's the way I understand it. And a lot of times if, hey, I'm renting an Airbnb, forget to check that they're only limited to 2 bedrooms or 2 beds or how many, and it sometimes goes by the wayside. So it's a good reminder for people when they get the letters. I'm hopeful that they will come into compliance pretty quickly and I can report back that.
So what's the board's request? Do we,
I will move Christie's recommendation.
We do need to close the public hearing.
okay,
Okay.
that's right. We have to open the public hearing first.
Oh, well.
It's still open.
It's still open.
Oh, that's right. Open. We have no speaker cards, so I will close the public hearing.
And I will move that we would just let these 6 continue as they are operating. Is that correct, Adam, or what is, okay, yes. All right. Adam often gets on me because I don't use the right language, so I wanted to double check.
So we have a motion. Mr. Stevens, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Eisenhower?
Aye.
Ms. Larson?
Aye.
Ms. Knoll?
Aye.
Ms. Wainwright?
Aye.
Mr. McGlinnan?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay. We'll now go on to the next public hearing, which is FD 250001, 2756, 2900, and 3006 Jolly Pond Road, Gordon Creek AFD Edition. Mr. Alverson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the board. Mr. William C. Kane has applied on behalf of William C. Kane Jr. trustee and Miss Angelia K. Kane trustee to enroll approximately 50 acres of land located at 2756 Jolly Pond Road, 2900 Jolly Pond Road, and 3006 Jolly Pond Road into the Gordon Creek Agricultural and Forestal District. The properties are zoned A1 General Agricultural, designated rural lands on the 2045 Comprehensive Plan Land Use Map, and located outside of the primary service area. The land is primarily forested, while it also contains a portion of Jolly Pond and a portion of the vacated section of Jolly Pond Road. The applicant has stated that he currently has no plans to harvest timber or develop the properties. As required by the Code of Virginia, the subject parcels are within 1 mile of the core of the Gordon Creek AFD and are contiguous with other parcels currently in the district. This proposal is not anticipated to generate any impacts that require mitigation. Appropriate uses in the rural lands designation of the comprehensive plan include traditional agricultural and forestal activities. At its January 15th, 2026 regular meeting, the Agricultural and Forestal District Advisory Committee recommended approval of this application by a vote of 9-0. At its March 4th, 2026 regular meeting, the Planning Commission recommended approval of this application by a vote of 7-0. Staff finds that the application meets all state and local requirements for inclusion in the Gordon Creek AFD. Staff finds the application to be consistent with the 2045 Comprehensive Plan. Staff recommends that the Board of Supervisors approve this application. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you very much.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Alveston?
So when you say that agriculture, does this also include agritourism and things like that can take place on that land as well?
If you're referring, let me make sure I'm understanding this correctly. Are you referring to the rural lands designation in the comprehensive plan? I would assume that is a recommended and well-suited use to that district. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Other questions? Mr. Rogers, do you have a report from the Planning Commission?
Good evening, Mr. Chair and supervisors. It's my pleasure to represent not just the Planning Commission, but also the Berkeley District. Go Bulldogs. Represent. This particular situation, it flew through the Planning Commission because in our mind, as staff also put out there, we decided that yes, it meets all state and local requirements for inclusion in the Gordon Creek Agricultural and Forest District. It's already contiguous or adjacent to similarly situated rural properties. It's just 7-0 voted in favor.
Thank you very much. Anybody have a question for Mr. Rogers?
Thank you.
Thanks so much. I will go ahead and open the public hearing. Do we have any speaker cards? No speaker cards, so I will close the public hearing and ask the board for direction. Have a motion?
I'll approve I'll move the motion to approve the AFD addition.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the addition. Mr. Stevens, would you call the roll, please?
Ms. Wainwright?
Aye.
Mr. Eisenhower?
Aye.
Ms. Larson?
Aye.
Ms. Knoll?
Aye.
Mr. McGlinnan.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay. That moves us on to our third public hearing, Z 250003, SUP 250006, 297 and 279 Neckerland Road. Ms. Sulov.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the board. Mr. Vernon Getty of Getty and Frank LLP has applied on behalf of Mrs. and Mr. Marina and Constantine Fotiadis to rezone 2 lots located at 297 and 279 Neckerland Road from R8 to R2 with proffers. Along with the rezoning, the applicant is requesting a special use permit to allow the extension of public water to the site. The subject properties are located inside the primary service area, zoned R8 rural residential, and designated low-density residential on the 2045 comprehensive plan. As I said, the lots are currently zoned R8, and as they existed prior to 2022, are subject to a 3-acre minimum lot size. As the total combined acreage of the site is only 3.6 acres, the owners must rezone to achieve their desired 3 lots from the existing 2. Several surrounding parcels and developments are zoned R1 or R2 with similarly sized lots, and thus staff finds R2 with proffers to be a logical choice for rezoning. Extensions of public utilities are specially permitted uses in the R2 zoning district. Per JCSA regulations, if subdivided, this site is required to connect to public water, and thus the proposed subdivision necessitates the requested SUP. For several decades, this site operated as a commercial marina and at different times housed related uses such as boat repair and a snack bar. Additionally, records indicate that several existing and some now demolished structures were used as residential rental properties and/or primary residences. The structures largely predate existing Chesapeake Bay Act, floodplain, and zoning regulations and would have otherwise been permitted to remain as is from a planning and zoning perspective. The new owners of the property have not and do not wish to operate a marina or any other commercial use at the site. Additionally, the owners have demolished several structures and engaged in wide-scale cleanup of the property. While the suggested base density for LDR is 1 dwelling unit per acre of net developable area, the comprehensive plan does allow for up to 4 units per acre if the application proposes the provision of certain particular public benefits, which include enhanced environmental protections. Accounting for RPA and flood zone, the net developable acreage of this site is 1.88 acres, resulting in a net density of 1.6 units per acre, so 0.6 units per acre over the suggested 1 unit per acre of net developable area. The applicant is proffering water conservation standards and proposing a significant effort to restore previously disturbed areas of RPA and floodplain with bonding agreements to guarantee quality and completion. The applicant is also proffering the removal of an existing dwelling within the RPA, as well as the removal and replanting of invasive species. Staff from both the Planning and Stormwater and Resource Protection Divisions are satisfied that such an effort constitutes a public benefit warranting the increase of a net density to 1.6 units per acre. Staff has evaluated potential impacts resulting from the proposed residential rezoning as well as the proposed SUP to extend the water line and anticipates impacts related to the SUP to be temporary in nature and directly caused by the construction process. Staff is proposing SUP conditions which limit construction hours and associated lighting and which require the replanting of any vegetation removed during the construction process. The applicant has proffered to exclude in perpetuity all commercial uses permitted in the R2 district. And again, the applicant has also proffered to restore previously disturbed sensitive areas, providing an opportunity to address existing issues on the site which would otherwise persist. Per state code, unless a utility facility is shown on the adopted comprehensive plan or other master plans for the county, the local planning commission and governing body shall review the facility to determine whether the location, character, and extent of the project is substantially in accord with the adopted comprehensive plan for that locality. At its February meeting, the Planning Commission found this waterline extension to be in accord with the adopted 2045 comprehensive plan as required by state code, and a resolution from that meeting is included in tonight's materials. At its February 4th meeting, the Planning Commission recommended approval of these applications by a vote of 7-0. With the attached conditions and proffers, staff finds that the proposal is compatible with surrounding zoning and development and consistent with the comprehensive plan, and recommends that the Board of Supervisors approve these applications subject to those conditions and proffers attached to tonight's materials. Be happy to answer any questions you may have, and the applicant is with us tonight as well.
You have any questions for Ms. Sula?
The smaller lot, I mean, it doesn't, how does it access the road?
It currently does not access the road, which is kind of a quirk of some older lots in the county. And so the re-subdivision, and I'm not sure that I have the master plan loaded up here, but it is included in the materials, kind of revisualizes that layout.
I think it
I see it on.
runs
okay.
down the left
I see
side
it on
of
the-
the
there's
lot,
the
and
left
then
side.
it
Okay.
arcs back
Flags.
around.
Yeah, I couldn't, okay.
A long flag stem.
Just didn't want to be landlocked.
Yeah. Our subdivision, we couldn't approve it otherwise, so yes.
And I just wanted to clarify, you said that they're going to remove invasive species, and then will they replant with native? Is that the idea?
Yes. As I said it did sound like they were replanting the bamboo. They are not replanting the bamboo.
Well, thank goodness for that.
I think the
that-
proffer said grass.
Yes.
That they will be seeding
Yes.
grass.
Yeah, I did go out to visit the property, which I know pretty well, and it is already looking much better. So I think that the environmental benefits will be very important there. Good to know that. Anybody else have questions or comments for staff? If not, let me ask Mr. Rogers for Planning Commission report.
This one generated more conversation at the commission, and in a nutshell, we were really struck, I think I speak for all of us, we were quite struck by the environmentally restorative aspects of this particular project. And similar to Chairman McGlennon, I'm very familiar with this property from the water side. This is on everyone's kayak route if you use that creek in the afternoons, and the changes on the property are quite dramatic. And the older structures and things that they're removing, every one of them seems to make this property more in compliance with what I think of as what we look for in our zoning laws than in its grandfathered condition. At our meeting, the direct neighbors, they spoke in very strong support of the proposal. They were trying to opt in on the water line when it comes. They were excited and gave very detailed descriptions of the various cleanup actions going on there. And as just mentioned, while the comprehensive plan it would suggest that it'd be nice to have one property per acre, and in this case, the density becomes a bit of an issue. The trade-off, which is also allowed when you give environmentally restorative processes, it seems like they make that in handfuls. So again, it was a 7-0 vote. The commission found both that the proposal was consistent with the 2045 comprehensive plan use designation for this site, and we recommend the Board of Supervisors approve these applications subject to the proposed conditions and some very important things they put in their proffer. The commission also approved a resolution finding that the proposal is consistent with the comprehensive plan in accordance with section 15.2-2232 of the Code of Virginia.
Thank you very much. Anybody have questions for Mr. Rogers?
Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead and open the public hearing. Do we have any cards? Just one. Okay.
John?
Yes. Oh, Vernon. I'm sorry. Vernon Getty, Senior.
He wasn't gonna let you speak?
Yeah, this is for.
I was afraid of what you might say.
Now, let's be careful.
Yeah, exactly.
This is the one you're used to seeing, 1177 Jamestown Road. And it's a pleasure to be here tonight representing Gus and Marina Fodiitis, the owners of this property. And I show this map just to give you a little context of where the property is. It's outlined right here And you can see this is Stonehaven, the Colony. It's right across the street from Gatehouse Farm, Peleg's Point, and Page Landing, and then Powhatan Shores down this way, and directly across the creek from Landfall. So it's right in the center of, as you would expect, in a low-density residential area of developed subdivisions. Property was acquired by the Fodiagises in July of 2022. And their goal here is to create a 3-lot family compound. 2 lots, and I'll show you the master plan in just a moment, would front on Necklaland Road and will be conveyed to their 2 children. And Gus and Marina will keep the larger waterfront lot in the back along the creek. As Mr. McGlennon said, there's a long history of a variety of commercial uses on this property. It's been a marina, boat repair facility, boat storage, snack bar, and at various times up to 4 houses and 2 trailers, often rented. This is a picture. I went back, and I frankly don't remember what year this is, but you can see the marina was in full operation. There's a snack bar here. The boat repair was in this location, and boats stored in various locations around the property. Since Gus and Marina have owned the property, they have made substantial improvements. They removed the 8 boat slips and associated docks you saw. 2 trailers have been removed. 2 homes have been demolished and removed. Storage is much more limited now, and they have increased the streetscape with planted shrubs and a gate at what will be the entrance. And this is a current picture, and you can see the much nicer state of the property here. So this is the master plan. You can see the 2 lots in front here and the driveway here that will go back. This property line, this existing property line is being vacated, so there will be 1 large lot in the back. So it'll take care of the issue of being landlocked. We agree with the staff report and the unanimous Planning Commission recommendation. There are no adverse impacts from this project. I think only benefits and improvements. In addition to what they've already done, the proffers here will address removal of an existing house from the RPA, planting appropriate vegetation to establish a portion of the RPA buffer. There's never been one there. And the removal of the existing invasive bamboo. I think it's consistent with the comprehensive plan and surrounding zoning and development, and we would ask you to approve it. And glad to answer any questions. Gus and Marina are here, and Chase Grogg with Land Tech if handle any questions y'all might have.
One question I had was, it sort of struck me because this is a property that was on sewer, but was not on water.
Not on water.
Yeah.
The water is interesting.
Yeah, because it looks like the water comes from down on the lower part.
When the water went in, it bypasses this property. It comes up to Gatehouse Farms along Necklaland, and then goes into Gatehouse Farms, comes down this road, and then back out.
Okay, so that's where it comes back out down there where you have the cursor. That's about where they're going to have to tie in.
So we'll be coming back this way with the water line.
So that would give closer access for all of those.
Yeah,
those lots along there.
exactly.
Do you happen to know, are most of those on? They're obviously not on
They're
water,
on
but
wells, I think now.
they're all on sewer.
Don't know the answer to that.
It's interesting. Okay. Yeah.
Any other
We'll
questions?
find out more interesting things as we get some of
Yes, we do.
Anybody else have anything?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. No other speaker cards. I will close the public hearing and ask for the board's.
I'll
I'd
move
like
the
to
approval.
move that
Oh,
we-
you want to move?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I would like to recommend that we approve Z-25-0003 and SUP-25-0006, 297 and 279 Necklaland Road.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor.
Mr. Icenhour?
Aye.
Ms. Wainwright?
Aye.
Ms. Knoll?
Aye.
Ms. Larson?
Aye.
Mr. McGlinnan?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, those are our public hearings for tonight. We have one board consideration It's a request for a special use permit extension for SUP 210022, 360 Racefield Drive Solar Farm. And Morgan Reisinger.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the board. Mr. Sean Riley of Virginia Electric and Power Company has requested an extension of SCP-21-0022, the 360 Racefield Drive Solar Farm project, pursuant to Section 15.2-2209.1:2b of the Code of Virginia. This section of the Code of Virginia allows the board to grant an extension of the approval for a solar photovoltaic project until July 1st, 2026, or a longer period as may be determined by the board. SCP-21-0022 was approved by the board on March 8th, 2022, and required the solar farm to be in operation by March 8th, 2026, or the SCP would become void. Construction of the solar farm is still in progress, and the solar farm has not been deemed operational at this time. Remaining items to be finalized include the completion of necessary site work, landscape plantings, and those accompanying inspections, the completion of the stream restoration project required by SCP condition number 19, the completion of an informational and training session for county public safety personnel as required by SCP condition number 7, and the completion of a post-construction assessment of conditions along Racefield Drive to identify any damage caused by construction traffic and a subsequent repair of any such damage as required by SCP condition number 9. Mr. Riley has requested an extension of the project to July 1st, 2026 to provide additional time necessary for the project to be completed and deemed operational. Staff recommends the board approve the resolution in your packet to grant an extension of SCP 21-0022 to July 1st, 2026. I will be happy to answer any questions you have, and members of the project team are in attendance as well.
They have any problems out there? Because I remember when we approved this years ago. Was it just normal things slowing them down?
Yeah, I think it's just typical to construction. At this point, we're
It was really clear cut. I mean, it was really an easy one.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe that they needed an extension. Okay. So there's no problems out there.
No, just wrapping up those items
Okay.
of construction is pretty typical
Okay.
within the inspection process at the end.
Okay.
Pretty comfortable they can get all that wrapped up in the
They can
time
get
frame
it done?
proposed then.
I believe so, yes.
Very good.
Okay.
Other
I thought it was
questions?
operational.
For staff or for the applicant?
That was so long ago.
I thought they were all here for lacrosse.
Yeah, yeah, right. Yeah.
All right. In that case, is anybody ready to make a
I'll
motion?
move the approval of the
Extension.
SUP extension.
Okay. We have a motion on the floor.
Ms. Wainwright?
Aye.
Ms. Knoll?
Aye.
Ms. Larson?
Aye.
Mr. Eisenhower?
Aye.
Mr. McGlinnan?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay. Very good. So that now brings us to, let's see, board requests and directives. Ms. Wainwright, would you like to start us off?
First.
Sure. We'll do the newbie first every time.
It's your seat number.
That's how it works.
So got to attend several events, not directly related to county position, but school liaison committee, we met on Friday, February 27th. So lots of good conversations there, talking about AI and technology and just some updated research related to those items and students. On Saturday, the 28th of February, I got to go to the Good News Jail Ministry Breakfast, which is an annual event that they hold. It was a well-attended event, and of course, their Chaplain Howe was there, who I got to meet on my tour of our regional jail. And they also recognized Norman Neal, who has been volunteering in our local jail since 1980 or 81. He has been there almost as long as I've been talking. So it was just a really great event, and hearing the stories of the volunteers that go into our jail and really have a heart to minister to the people who were there and help them come out and not return is obviously the hope. I also attended the United Way Legacy Gala on the 28th, which was held down at the Mariners Museum. So also another lovely event, well attended, where they recognized individuals throughout the community. A lot of them, since we're joint with United Way from Williamsburg, but they're a little heavily involved down lower on the peninsula, but just several individuals that give back to the community and serve the community and have been doing so for decades. On Sunday, March 1st, I got to attend a Holocaust survivor speech at William & Mary, and that was very impactful. So she doesn't quite know how old she is because her family was in hiding when she was born because of being Jewish, and the Nazis had already taken over. She was a twin, so when her family was taken to Auschwitz, they were found. Their grandmother tried to hide them, but Mengele was actually there, and so he took them immediately. And she didn't get very raw, but even what she shared was very difficult. But just listening to her story, then she had to escape East Germany after the war, and eventually landed in the United States. And just a powerful story of healing and forgiveness and resilience. I mean, that's really what I took away. And our very own Mr. Schatz was also
Is he
there.
there? Oh,
He
yeah,
was
good.
also there and got to share a little bit 3 days after his 100th birthday. So just really neat to hear from both of them. And then this past Thursday, I met with our local soil and water conservation director and just had some interesting conversations about funding for projects from the state and how that impacts our citizens and where the money is being spent in the restoration projects and how there's a long waiting list right now. So very eventful and got to meet a lot of really great people that serve and contribute to our community. So I did have a directive also. Thank you. So I have a resolution, and if the board would consider voting on it, I would appreciate it. So we heard about the redistricting vote that is going on, and the focus of the resolution is basically to say we support the current Virginia Redistricting Commission that the citizens in our county and across the state voted on just a few years ago. We do not support the constitutional amendment that creates partisan gerrymandering, and urge the Virginia Supreme Court, which will address this issue after the election, as they have said, to do so in a timely manner so that our residents and our citizens know where they stand. So I know there's been a lot of different proposals and types of resolutions, and this is just to vocalize support for the current districting process in Virginia. How many counties? Oh, and so in the resolution, there's included how James City County would be split up on the new congressional map. And we're put in with all sorts of other counties and cities. So majority of JCC would be with Colonial Heights, Petersburg, Henrico County. Sir, I mean, it's a list of probably about 20 different counties and cities. And then a couple of our voting districts would be in another portion that would winds all the way up to Fairfax, Arlington, and Stafford. So it's a very interesting split that would happen with our county. So I know not everyone's a fan of the resolutions and don't know where everybody sits on supporting the Virginia Redistricting Commission, but I felt it important to make a declaration and make a statement. So if the board's willing to vote on it, we all have copies of it.
Okay, well, thank you. This is the first we're seeing it, so I'd suggest that we take the time to consider it before our next meeting.
Sounds good. Thank you. Oh, and yes, just want to Mr. Henderson, and I think a couple of other people have brought up doing an invocation instead of a moment of silence. And I happen to have a paralegal student in my house right now, so she overheard me having that conversation. And she said, I just read all the Virginia ordinances in reference to county boards and public representatives and doing an invocation. And she's going to send me all of the background, but basically, we are protected. There is no legal danger in having an invocation inviting local clergy as long as they keep it generic. And I think that we have a strong community of faith in our area, and if we keep it generic, it seems like citizens would be in support of that. So just a conversation to have probably at a future date. I got a little history on that we did used to have an invocation and when it was pulled to change to a moment of silence. But it's nice to know that there is legal backing for us as a board to include that. And that's all I have.
So I went to the grand opening of Point Five, the new store at the outlets. It's absolutely a beautiful store. I don't know if anybody's been in there, but it's absolutely gorgeous, run by a female. It's the second one in the area. I think there's one, she said, in Richmond. And you will not believe every bottle in there is non-alcoholic. They're gorgeous. I mean, I think it's wonderful. I said, I'd get a non-alcoholic bourbon for my son if I could, but it's very, very nice, and they're two nice young ladies that own it, so I like to see more businesses come around. And and there's no holes in there's only like 1 or 2 vacancies now in that center, so that's a really good thing. A lady from Simon was there, and we were talking about that, so the cornhole place next door is doing well, so that's good to hear. So anyway, so I have something I brought up a couple times about our landscaping ordinances and so forth, and dealing with builders and developers in the area and business owners and so forth. And I have been assured with Scott and Paul that they are working with the landscaping group and trying to get some things together and work something out. However, I have a note I'd like to read. A developer reached out to me with some concerns about submittal requirements for by right development. And currently, our zoning ordinance requires a site-wide archaeology study as well as a natural resources study. And these studies are extremely costly, but also depending on the time of year, a developer can be required to wait a specific amount of time or blooming seasons to occur to even conduct a study. So I understand that ordinance requirements were placed in the zoning ordinance in 2018, and before that, they were only required of legislatively reviewed applications. There are no state requirements that these studies be completed, but they are specific to our ordinance. Only then do the state agencies review them. I am concerned that these requirements are putting undue hardships on the business community and will make them seriously consider other locations when deciding to locate. By right developments may not require the same studies in the adjacent localities. I would like the board to consider how these requirements are implemented and why they are truly necessary in all cases. There are certainly some important historic and cultural resources that could be protected, but for properties that were previously cleared or farmed, maybe we can make some exceptions. So if the board doesn't agree to consider removing these studies from the ordinance, perhaps we could add some additional waiver criteria that could go through the department director or the county administration. In any case, I'm hoping the board will let me bring forward an initiating resolution to the March working meeting to allow for consideration of alternatives.
So
I'd like the staff to look into that.
you're just asking them to bring something forward. You're not asking for any approvals this evening. Yeah, I don't have an issue with
I
something.
would like them to bring something forward that would allow exceptions to be made. We make exceptions on things all the time. I mean, it doesn't mean that everybody and their mother's gonna come in here and want an exception for something. And in my, cause just dealing with this one gentleman, but there's more, it's not just him. And he did I did speak to the gentleman today, and he did tell me that he knew of another builder who has never been asked for these studies in the last couple of months. So I don't know names or anything like that. But what I'm saying is, if he's already exchanged open space on that land to 40 acres, which is most of his land to be still open and so forth. So it's not like he's, trying to pull anything on us, but I mean, these archaeology studies and stuff are extremely expensive, along with our landscaping ordinances. So I would like the staff to work on something that we could somehow get around it for the right reasons.
Especially for land that's already been
For
disturbed
land that's already been
previously.
destroyed and, he's taking over some land and making it nice, actually. It's gonna be a nice park, it's 40 acres off of 30, and you go back, it's a long driveway, and then the buildings are in the very back, and it's all surrounded by woods and not viewed from the street. Anyway, so I would like that. And that's it. I haven't been anywhere else because I was sick for 2 weeks. I was very sick for 2 weeks.
Oh,
with
sorry, glad I hope you're feeling
bronchitis.
better.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, I managed to attend part of the Black History Month event, which is unfortunate because I had a conflicting doctor's appointment, because it's always one of my favorite events every year, and our staff do such a wonderful job with that. My congratulations to them. Scott, make sure that everybody knows how much I appreciate that. But I did get there in time that I didn't miss the most important part, and that was the catering by Corey. So
The what?
the catering by
Oh,
Corey's.
yeah, you love that.
That's
Yeah,
good
I know.
stuff.
Yeah.
And then on the 27th, I did participate with Barbara at Point 5 to come over and take a look. It was a very interesting store, and it had quite a crowd.
They
It's
did.
one of the biggest crowds
Yeah.
I've seen for a ribbon cutting for quite a while. On March 2nd, I think Ruth was there. I don't know what anybody else was, but we went to the screening of Multiple Choice, the film that Dr. Kiefer had brought in, and listened to the superintendent from up in Winchester talk about that film and his experiences, and it was very eye-opening and very enlightening. But I think it gives a starting point for a conversation in our community about continuing technical education and what we need to be thinking about going forward. I do have two requests. Number one is I would like to have staff come back to us maybe at the next meeting and give us an update on what their plans are for when we will be doing the next comp plan. I think we're already on the cycle to where we're late on it. That typically happens periodically depending on whatever else is going on. But I'd like to get an idea of what the plans are for how we will be addressing the a more current, up-to-date requirement. I think we're required to do it every 5 years.
5 years.
Yeah, so I think getting a better feel for where we are on that and what our plans are would be very helpful. And then lastly, I have been made aware of a privately owned electronic display sign along Route 60 that has been in place and operational for quite some time. And its placement is distracting to many motorists traveling on that road. I've had quite a few call me and email me and talk to me about it. With the board's concurrence, I would like to ask staff to thoroughly review the county code to determine if it is in compliance and return to the board with an initiating resolution to limit the use of these types of signs. So that's my request. So if they can come back to us and tell us what they think, I would appreciate it.
I've talked to a couple people about that. They call me all the time.
Yeah.
So we need to review that.
Yeah.
Ordinance.
Yeah, I received a call about that today, and then I just follow up to say that James City County was very well represented at that movie. We had staff there.
Oh, yeah.
Scott was there, so anyway, appreciate that. I just want to make a couple of and you all are looking at a picture, I know, and we'll get that off the screen in just a minute.
Take that.
But
It's a lovely photo.
thank you. I just have a couple of comments that I want to make about the assessments and then some follow-up with staff. the assessments went out, and I hear, some people got a 20%, 50, 60. So we are required, and when people reached out to me, that I went through there's an appeal process. If you don't think you're going to be able to sell your home for that amount, you need to reach out. There's a number on the card. But there were some interesting comments made, and there were also interesting comments made this evening. And, it's got to be tight with your budget, but you got to do this. And this is a great place to live, but don't do this. And, some of the phone calls that I received regarding the assessments were, nobody can afford to live here. Don't approve Cardinal Ridge. And the thing with Cardinal Ridge is, yes, 1,000 homes is a lot if it comes forward, but there's also some affordable housing in that, which has to be taken. And there's also some others, there's also Hope Village and some other things that have to be. In other words, everybody wants what they want, but they don't want what they don't want. And it's very difficult to navigate all of that. And that's something that this board has to take into consideration. And so it's not just as easy. And I would hope that if you were one of those people that came forward tonight and said, well, don't live within your means, don't approve Cardinal Ridge. Do this, but don't, so, but go for La Crosse. And so, and really, we're not the ones, I so appreciate the students. It was so impressive, and the adults too that support that. Ultimately, we're not the ones that make the decision on whether La Crosse. We can give the additional money, doesn't mean the school system has to use it for La Crosse. So there's a lot of things that go into consideration. And I don't take anything that anyone's and I so appreciate a paralegal. I'm going to, though, take my advice from my county attorney, and I'm really going to ask that, from my experience that I've had at VACO, and this just came up in our Chair Institute, and they did say the safest thing to stick with is a moment of silence. So I don't mind discussing it in the future, but I just want to, I want to be very careful, because it's not, we can probably agree, but it opens up probably people that maybe we could get into it down a road that maybe we don't want to get down. So I just would like to really talk about it and study it. So, but I want to bring up a couple of things. The Hampton Roads Alliance annual meeting, Scott and I went down to that and saw the new VPCC theater, which was beautiful. This morning I attended the WJCC Education Foundation breakfast, in which they talked about all the incredible innovative grants that they're doing and continuing to do. Today we had our Williamsburg Tourism Council meeting, where of course we talked about a lot, but including again the 250th that we are doing at the Jamestown Beach Event Park the weekend of April 17th. I hope we can get people out. York County will be doing the sailing, which is going to be incredible in June, and then 4th of July down in Colonial Williamsburg. So I hope everybody around will take real advantage of what is going to be here for the 250th and beyond. And I'm sorry, I'm going to have to do an asterisk. One thing, Scott, I would like to talk about moving forward is yearly assessments, because I think maybe the shock of, maybe property values, I think it is hard when, so just to get some information if we did move to yearly assessments. But did want to take a moment. I attended Bobby Bland's visitation. Bobby was larger than life person in our community and served on the school board, I believe, and Vicki Sprigg also served on the WJCC school board and was a longtime citizen as well. And I want to just briefly talk about this beautiful book, Following the Dragon, that was written by the senior curator, Mary Outlaw. And this is a culmination of many years of dedicated scholarship. Mary's work presents an extraordinary, in-depth study of 17th century Chinese porcelain recovered from archaeological excavation at the 1607 James Fort site. Her research illuminates not only the manufacturing techniques of these vessels, but also its impact on society, international relations, and the global trade networks that connected early Virginia to the world. So I encourage you to look at this book. It's a beautiful book. So, and then I believe lastly, but I don't know. Let me just see what I have in my little bag of tricks here. Let me dust it off. And then, so I don't say this about me, but I did receive the award at Dancing with the Stars for being the largest fundraiser. But that's not about me. That's about all the people that donated, and it was neck and neck, and everybody raised an incredible amount of money, and it went to two great organizations, Big Brothers Big Sisters and Literacy for Life. And I encourage you to get involved with those. And if anything with tonight's speakers resonated with you, I urge you to go on and see what Literacy for Life does. They just make an impact around this community that just is just so inspiring. But I want to give a special shout out. Is the picture up? Okay. So it's Chris Williams, who works here in our video department and does so much. Chris also participated in Dancing with the Stars, and he did such a great job. He has incredible rhythm and incredible dancing, and he and I, this is at the after party, and having him as a teammate there throughout this process was just incredible. And I just want to give him a shout out too, because he didn't get to sit here and plead for donations, but he did pretty well, I'll say that. He's got lots of friends in the community, but I just want to thank James City County. The people that were there Saturday night just were so great. And it's amazing in our community, all the people that do so much, not just for this organization, but for so many, because as you also heard this evening, you know, there's people want more from our budget, and we're not always able to do that. And so residents and citizens step in, whether they volunteer their time or they give their money. They support so many good causes here, and this gave me an opportunity just to see that in action, and I'm grateful for it. So with that, I'll take it back, put it on my mantle under the spotlight where I had to get it from, and go on with my day. So thank you.
Well, Ms. Larson, the way you pulled it out of your bag, kind of reminded me of Mary Poppins.
I thought so too, yeah.
Great job. I watched I was not able to attend the event itself. I was on my way back from a conference, but I was able to see the performances of both Chris and Ruth on the YouTube channel where it was played. So I encourage everybody to go take a look.
Thank you.
And, you will see some very wonderful dancing for a wonderful cause. So that was great. I did want to just kind of also mention, we had a comment tonight about the public hearing process in relation to the budget. I'd remind everybody that during our January meeting, I believe it was January, we had a pre-budget public hearing that was fully advertised as part of our regular meeting, and we will have a public hearing in April on the budget, as we always do. So while I'm not quite sure why it is that people are gathering petitions to have us do something we always do, have at it. And I think it is important for us to kind of draw a distinction. You know, assessments are based on sales, and it's certainly true that especially on some properties, there may be a difficult time finding properties that have transferred over a 2-year period that are exactly comparable to other properties. But by and large, the numbers that are coming up, I would say, reflect probably a slight under assessment of the value of properties because we don't want to over assess the value of the property. If people feel that their properties are not really accurately reflected by that, we do have an appeals process, and we also have a process whereby they can just have it explained to them. And the telephone number to reach the office is right on the postcard that has arrived in the mail. Maybe Mr. Stevens will have that in a minute. But that's stage one, which is to say we want to know what the property values are. The tax rate that was presented on that postcard is the current tax rate. And so in terms of erring in the side of transparency, we say, okay, so if that tax rate were there, that's what your tax would be on that property now. We make the decision about the tax rate. We don't make the decision about the assessments. And the assessments have gone up a lot because price of housing has gone up a lot. There's no question about that. You know, I don't think people really would like to have their assessments reduced significantly if that would reflect accurately what they could actually get for the property if they decided to sell it or wanted to borrow money against it or for any other reason. So I think it is important for us to be transparent about how we're going about this. I know that the board as a group have expressed interest in seeing what we could do about the tax rate this coming year, depending on what other sources of revenue might be available and what other obligations we may need to make. So I think that's an important consideration for us as we go forward. I also wanted to just repeat that telephone, or to give that telephone number, that if you have questions about your assessment, please call 757-253-6650, and somebody from your staff will get back in touch with you if they can't speak to you right at that moment, to set up a time to chat or to have you come in and go through the assessment process, or to help you understand the means by which you can file an appeal. I believe appeals would be due by the end of this month, so it is important that if you feel, and you know, I'd say somebody who may live in a neighborhood where the assessments generally went up, but where we know there's been a lot of turnover, that turnover has probably reflected the sales of homes that have had some investment put into them in order to make them more marketable. If you're in that neighborhood, you haven't had an interest in moving in recent years, and you haven't necessarily updated your kitchens and bathrooms and things of that nature, it may well be that your house would not assess at such a high level. And that's exactly the kind of thing that is reasonable to ask about in this process. So there are opportunities for people to deal with this. You know, I think we need to be looking at a range of sources of revenue. We need to make sure we scrub the budget to make sure that it is an accurate reflection of the values of the community. We also need to recognize that the community has consistently indicated it wants a high level of services provided and amenities to be available to it. So that's important to recognize as well. We will have opportunities. I believe we're going to try to do public open houses to have folks come in and get a presentation on the budget as we move toward adoption in early May. And hopefully that process will go smoothly. We try to make sure that people have the opportunities. So everybody's certainly welcome to gather petitions, but if you simply take advantage of the opportunities that we have provided over the last several years to better understand the budget and to recognize what's driving choices, then I think that's all worthwhile. I think I will stop with that this evening, and I'm sure I did something along the lines here.
I think you did a lot, probably.
At some point, but I was out of town for several days, so not able to deal with everything.
I'm okay if we don't Sorry, no, we have the reports of the county administrator, but I don't see a need to go to close.
Okay. Stevens, report of the county administrator.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, just a couple items I would like to share. One, our housing office is hosting a free home maintenance workshop, March 12th, 5:30 to 7 p.m. At 5249 Old Town Road. Come learn about how maintaining your property to increase its equity and longevity. And so again, if you have questions on that, 259-5340. Our community land trust, we had talked with you, we are recruiting for a board of directors, so you can make those appointments. If residents have an interest in seeking that, there is a lot of information on our website. And so we are looking for 9 members for the inaugural board of directors. We're setting it up as a nonprofit organization to acquire and be stewards of land for the benefit of the community. Using a long-term renewable and inheritance ground lease, the community land trust ensures that homes remain affordable both today and for future generations. And so we do have information on our website that talks more about that. We do have an informational session for residents that might want to know more about it before committing. That will be at 5 p.m. March 26th here at the Government Center, 101 Mounts Bay, Building F. So in this building, and again, more information is on our website. If you would search James City County Community Land Trust, you would find information about that process and board and commitment and what it is. So exciting time to have that being stood up. You'll have those back toward the end of the April-May timeframe from consideration of appointment to that board and forming that board. And then finally, I would like to just comment briefly on the Dancing Stars events for Ms. Larson and Chris Williams. They did a phenomenal job. We had a number of employees that were just there to see the show, and none of us were embarrassed by our 2 James City County compadres. So I do want to commend them. There is a ton of time and effort for all of those people that participate. And you are nervous in front of your friends and putting yourself on the line. And while I think they all were excited to be part of it, I think they all were probably excited to have Saturday night done as well. So I was very fortunate to be there and enjoyed the show along with my wife. And again, congratulations to Ms. Larson and Chris for representing us so well. So thank you.
We have a closed session item on our agenda. It is for a position on the Colonial Behavioral Health Board. We have a recommendation from staff. Does anybody want to move into closed session, or can we just move to that?
Want it in open session?
Is that okay with everybody? All right, that's fine. So I would ask if there's a motion.
Okay, I'll go ahead and make the motion. Motion is that we appoint Mr. Gould to the Colonial Behavioral Health Board beginning April 1st, 2026 for a 3-year term that would expire on April 30th, 2029.
Okay, we have a motion. Could you call the roll, please, Mr. Stevens?
Ms. Wainwright?
Aye.
Ms. Dahl?
Aye.
Mr. Eisenhower?
Aye.
Ms. Larson?
Aye.
Mr. McGlynn?
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, and I'll look for a motion to adjourn to 1 p.m. on March 24th, 2026 for the business meeting.
So moved.
moved.
Ms. Wainwright?
Aye.
Ms. Knoll?
Aye.
Mr. Eisenhower?
Aye.
Ms. Larson?
Aye. She's trying to take.
Aye.
We know what she's doing.
Meeting adjourned.